The purpose of life is not to be happy. You think I'm absolutely crazy. Well, if you're chasing happiness, you are rarely going to find it. And if you do, it's likely only going to be short-lived. Hi, I'm Gillian, and I'm sharing my journey from surviving to thriving to plant seeds of possibility for others. The other day I was sitting at my window and I noticed the wind was blowing, and I've got these beautiful trees outside with these soft fluffy leaves, and I noticed this one little branch jiggling like crazy. I realized it's not the wind that's making it move so rapidly, and then out flew a bird with this twig in its mouth, and he was carrying it off to make a nest. And this reminded me of two inescapable laws of nature, and those laws are growth and contribution. And it's something that I've become intimately familiar with over the last few months. So just like this tree was contributing to the bird to build his nest, and just like nature and trees specifically and plants contribute to us humans by producing oxygen so that we can breathe, we are also fundamentally part of nature. You know, we often tend to separate ourselves from nature, and it's noticeable in the language that we use. So we are going to spend time in nature, or we are going for a walk in nature, and we tend to divorce ourselves from it, and we often forget that we are nature. And so just like the tree contributes for the bird and the plants contribute for us, we as nature need to also play our part in contribution. So, and also in nature, I mean, if you're not contributing, if you think of the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, if you're not contributing, you die. And then even in death, you're contributing. So either as an animal being food for another animal, or as a plant falling to the ground and nurturing the soil for more plants to grow. So everything in its cycle while it is alive is contributing, until in death it has its last contribution. So we can't separate ourselves from this. So what isn't contribution? So there are three fundamental things that it isn't. It isn't obligation. So it is not, so contribution doesn't count, if I can say that, if you are doing it out of obligation. You feel that you have to do something and it's not coming from the heart. The second thing it isn't is doing good or contributing out of a need for significance. So either to boost your own self-worth, or to have other people tell you how great you are, or that need to feel better than others. So it's not obligation, it's not significance, and it's not martyrdom. So it's not a self-sacrificing contribution. It is a self-nurturing contribution, if I can use that term. And what is it? It's genuine. It's genuinely doing good and, uplifting other people out of the goodness of your heart, because it's what you want to do and what serves you and serves them. If you are constantly contributing from an ego base, so always asking yourself, well, what's in it for me? So I'll do this, but what's in it for me, and what can I get out of it? Then nature, unfortunately, is going to give you feedback, because another law of nature is the law of balance. So if you're constantly going, well, I'll do this, but what's in it for me, then nature is going to give you some feedback in ways that you maybe don't want. So if you have found that in your life you're getting, constantly having negative circumstances, we all go through phases, and if you've watched a couple of my last Facebook Live, you'll hear that I went through a couple of weeks period of just everything going wrong, which happens, but I was able to contribute in growing by gratitude. Anyway, if you find that you constantly face just challenge after challenge after challenge in your life, just stop for a moment and ask yourself, is this nature or the universe sending you a hint? It's to say that you need to take that focus away from yourself, from your ego, and start focusing on others. And when you start becoming the best version of yourself, that is growth. And when you start becoming the best version of yourself, you then start shining your light on others, and that is your contribution. And that has been pretty fundamental to my journey. So it's hard to pick one example, but I'm going to give you an example just now on how I have applied this in my life. I've also found that this tends to become a self-perpetuating cycle, but a positive self-perpetuating cycle. So by focusing on others, just because it's coming from your heart and it's really what you truly want to do, you then become more grateful. And I've spoken a lot about gratitude, but you become more grateful for the gift that you have. And it doesn't have to be a big gift. You don't have to be some guru, in specialist in any one area. You can just be you and show up for someone and just shine your light on them and lift them up and support them and just be there for them if they are going through a tough time. And then, in doing that, you will naturally start growing your self-worth. And in growing your self-worth, your light becomes brighter. And the brighter your light becomes, the more you attract other people, and the more opportunities you attract to shine your light. And then your sphere of contribution can grow bigger and bigger as you go through the cycle. So there are two things that I'm going to leave you with today that I will invite you to consider. Like I said, you don't have to start big. So number one, you can start really small. And the place where I started was with myself. I started being grateful to myself. So I've spoken about self-love before, but just having gratitude for your body, just for what you do on a daily basis, and just appreciate how much you do and how hard you work and what you do for others already. And forgiveness. Forgive yourself and start being okay with being perfectly imperfect. We often set such high standards for ourselves, and we constantly feel like we're not, I do. I'm saying you, like I know all of you, but I used to set such high standards, and if I was short with the children, for instance, I would chastise myself for the rest of the day, and I would feel awful about it. And you know what? We're human. We're not perfect. And it's to be able to forgive yourself, but then say, you know what? That wasn't okay. I didn't like what that was, and I'm going to do better next time. And then become conscious of it and do better next time. And that's where the next phase, so you're going to start small, you're going to start with yourself, you're going to start with loving yourself, being grateful to yourself, forgiving yourself. And that then grows into personal growth. So becoming that better version of yourself, saying, well, I didn't do so great today, but I'm going to do better tomorrow. And you start then learning what your triggers are. So, if your child is doing or saying something, or if someone at work there's some way that they behave that constantly sets you off or has this emotional rise in you, stop and process what that is and where it comes from so that you can understand it and you can grow past it. And that will naturally affect your relationship with those around you. And once you start noticing that you have, as soon as you change, your relationship with those around you changes. And it's a difficult thing to explain, but it's unbelievable. I mean, as soon as I started understanding my triggers and not allowing my children to trigger me, so that if they did trigger me, I could stop and become conscious of it straight away and go, okay, well, this is where it's coming from. It's not them, it's about me, it's about something that I'm struggling with. Then I could not react, and I could go and deal with it on my own, and then have a far more peaceful and far more loving and rewarding relationship with my kids. And then number 2, so number 1 is start small, start here, and then that comes to your immediate relationships. And then number 2, I am going to invite you to spend 10 quiet minutes on your own and think of 1, 2, even 3 people that you really appreciate, and let them know. Tell them that you appreciate them. Just drop them a message, and just with no strings attached, just let them know. And it is really still amazes me that the universe makes sure that that message lands where it needs to be, exactly when it needs to be there. That person that you're going to reach out to needs to hear your gratitude or your appreciation, or even if you just, it's constantly amazes me, and it's every day. And then I think the most important thing in showing others that appreciation is that you need to, it's almost like dropping a fishing line. You need to show that appreciation with no expectation of anything coming back, because it comes from your heart, because it's what you want to do to make them, to uplift them, to make them feel better. And it's not coming from a place of expecting something back. And in my experience as well, 9 out of 10 times, it is so rare to receive something like that 9 out of 10 times they're actually more shocked. So if they don't say anything or don't even smile or respond to your message, just know that it is landed. And even, I've had experiences where months later or even years, and you reconnect with someone, and you know what? That's what they remember. They remember that time that you made them feel significant, and you made them feel special and appreciated. The ripple effects of that one small action are much greater than you can comprehend. So that is my invitation to you. Number 1, just start with you today. Start with yourself. Number 2, just reach out to, even if it's just one person. And you'll find that the more often you do that, try and be conscious of it and do it fairly regularly, once a week, a couple of times a week. And you will find that it will start feeling a lot more natural. And then eventually you will just do it without even thinking. You will just be shining your light and uplifting other people, whether it's a shop assistant in the shop that has just done such a great job, whether it's somebody at work who has just been working really hard or has made a real difference to you. It doesn't matter who it is. I invite you to shine your light. So if this message has resonated with you, or if you think that somebody else might benefit from it, please do share. Help me to help others, because the more of us that show kindness, the kinder the world will be, genuinely. I appreciate you all spending time with me and listening to my messages and my experiences, and I will leave you till next week. Yours in gratitude.